Keith Shindler. Thank you for taking time to watch our Facebook Live Claim Your Justice. This is a special Friday afternoon edition. The purpose of these live sessions is to give our viewers and the rest of the Facebook community valuable and useful information on personal injury cases, personal injury topics, and trying to help you claim your justice. We welcome positive questions and comments. To claim your justice, visit www.claimyourjustice.com or call us at 888-88-KEITH. That's 888-885-3484. Today I'm going to discuss the issue of injury claims that airline workers may be entitled to make for injuries suffered during their job. The range of employees that can suffer an injury varies from baggage handlers, flight attendants, mechanics, ramp service personnel, and even administrative personnel. There can also be a scenario where a member of the flight crew, the cockpit crew, can make an injury claim. The type of injuries vary, of course. You can have an injury that's suffered during in-flight turbulence. For example, a flight attendant may lose their balance during a sudden turbulence event and suffer an injury. Frequently, airline workers suffer lifting injuries. You can have a mechanic that is lifting a heavy part into place to install or remove from an aircraft, and they suffer an injury to their shoulder or to their wrist while removing that part or installing that part. You can also have a flight attendant who is lifting a passenger's bag into the overhead bin, trying to help out and be an excellent worker, and they tear a rotator cuff. You can also have repetitive trauma type of injuries. That's where over a long period of time, moving a body part in the same motion, you can suffer what's termed a repetitive trauma injury. It happens to your wrists, it could happen to your elbows, it could happen to your shoulders, it could happen to your knees. Let's say you have a mechanic that uses a ratchet wrench frequently for 7, 8, 9 years. They may develop carpal tunnel in their wrist. They may need surgery to fix that, to repair that issue, and possibly they may not be able to return to their job as a mechanic. There's many issues involved in future calculation of damages, but we'll talk about that in a minute. You have issues of venue, of course. You have a flight attendant or a member of the cockpit crew who's traveling all over the country and possibly all over the world. If they were working for an Illinois airline and they suffer an injury outside the state of Illinois, they can make a claim in Illinois. On the other hand, if they're working for a non-Illinois based airline and they suffer an injury while in Illinois, they can use the Illinois Workers' Comp. They're entitled to claim their injury in the Illinois Workers' Compensation Commission. Venue can certainly be tricky, especially if an international type of claim where an injury happens while the person's traveling in Tel Aviv, and it may be difficult to determine where venue can be if they're not working for an Illinois-based company. What is the injured worker entitled to? The injured worker is entitled to time off from work pay, time off from recovering from their injuries, especially if they need surgery. They're entitled to have their medical bills paid. They're also entitled to have their future medical bills paid. Finally, the big number is where the lump sum settlement is obtained for the type of injury based on the permanency of the injury suffered. That calculation won't be made until the value calculation won't be made until the doctor who's treating the client releases them to what's called maximum medical improvement. It's also called MMI. Once that time is decided by the doctor, it becomes my job and the attorneys that claim your justice to calculate what is the true value of that injury. Is it a small injury where the person's recovered 100% to what their condition was before, or do they have permanent limitations in the amount of weight that they could lift, in the maximum flexion or extension they could move their elbow, wrist, shoulder, knee, ankle? That's to be decided at a later date. But no, you have the ability to make a claim. Finally, you could have something called a third-party claim. Generally, if you're injured on the job, the only entity you can sue is your employer. That's the law. You can't sue the employee directly. If another employee, you can't sue a passenger. Sorry, you can sue a passenger, but it's called third-party claims. The The most likely example would be where a food service employee working for another company goes to deliver food for the flight, and in the process of doing that loses control of the food cart. It hits the flight attendant's ankle, it ruptures her Achilles. Now that flight attendant has two claims. The first claim is against the employer for workers' compensation, and then there's a negligence claim against the food service company. Generally speaking, the negligence claim have much more value than a workers' compensation claim. When you hire Claim Your Justice for your workers' compensation and personal injury cases, you're creating essentially a partnership. The more we recover for our firm, the more we make for our client. The fee is contingent, and that means there's no fee until we win your case. Remember, if you're injured in any type of work-related accident, call Keith at Claim Your Justice, 188-88-KEITH. Have a nice week. Thank you.